in a village, and we are so happy you're here with us on this beautiful New England June 1. No, but seriously, my name is Polly. Oh, it's so great to see everybody. I'm a lawyer at GLAD, and GLAD, along with Resolve New England and so many other amazing organizations here today, are thrilled to lead the Massachusetts Parentage Act Coalition. Have a hand for the coalition, everybody. Despite the rain, you are all incredibly beautiful with your rainbows and your flags and the bubbles we'll save for another day. Seeing you reminds me of all the strength and the power and the joy that is LGBTQ people and the start of Pride Month and LGBTQ Family Day. So I think we need this pride and this love and this feeling of joy now more than ever. I want to say we're live streaming this on Facebook, of course, and at massparentage.com. Please do us a favor, post, tweet, whatever you do, Insta, whatever your jam is, to share the joy and to spread the word, because we are determined to pass the Massachusetts Parentage Act this session. We're here to celebrate together today and to talk about the MPA, and I'll pass it over to Kate. Thank you, Polly. Hi, everyone. Happy LGBTQ Families Day. So we are here today to celebrate our families and also to celebrate the Mass Parentage Act, which would update Massachusetts law that is definitely in need of updating. It has been over 40 years since it's been updated. And so it includes so many children and families, including LGBTQ families. We want to make sure all children in Massachusetts, no matter their gender identity, the sexual orientation or marital status of their parents, have equal access to all the paths to legal parentage. The MPA has been filed now for 3 legislative sessions, and we know that's not unusual. It's difficult to get bills passed. But we really feel like this is the year. Let's go. Since this bill was first filed in 2017, every other New England state has passed parentage reform. So, what are we waiting for? Let's go, Massachusetts. We are used to being first, not last in New England. So it is time. Our kids and our families, like the beautiful ones here today, just do not deserve last place. We deserve to get this done and get this done well. So you are really making a difference by being here today, especially in this weather. You are amazing. And while you are here, we have postcards for legislators that you can take with you and fill out at home so they don't get drenched. We also have coloring pages where you can draw your family, what family means to you, and send that to your legislators before the session ends. Or leave it with us today, and we will if you get a chance to color without it getting very wet. So to start with our speakers, we are so happy to have with us our lead House sponsor of the Mass Parentage Act, Representative Kay Conaby, who has been, as she's coming up the stairs, I will just say that she has been an absolute champion, not just for this bill, but for progressive causes for decades. She's truly an inspiration to me and to all of us, and we are so grateful for her leadership on the MPA. So Rep. Khan is going to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to be here. Such an honor to be here. And I am just really wanting to welcome all of you. And as Mark Twain used to say, you don't like to live with weather, wait 5 minutes. So you never know. So it's really my great pleasure and honor to welcome you all here to the State House. And just thank you all so much. It's a great crowd. So let's give a clap for everyone who showed up. It's wonderful to celebrate LGBTQ Families Day together and to raise awareness about the Parentage Act. And it's also my great honor to be the lead sponsor in the House. And I really hope that we can get this done this year. And there's not much time left, so we have to work really hard. So this is very important because relationships between children and parents is the core relationship of so many rights to join with all of you today. So thank you so much. Let me say a few words.
It's like a little dance up here with the umbrellas. So thank you so much, Representative Khan. And we also are so excited to have with us Representative Adam Scanlon. We're so happy he's part of the legislature and that he's with us today. So I'm going to turn it over to Rep. Scanlon.
Well, the barometers are definitely getting low and the humidity is rising, but the State House is the place to go today.
Yeah.
Happy June 1st, by the way. Happy Pride. So my name is Adam Scanlon, and I am the youngest legislator in the legislature in Massachusetts. And I'm also a member of the LGBTQ+ caucus. So I want to talk today about the treasure of our Commonwealth, and that's our people. Now, we are a diverse people, and we are all different, but we all have the same love. And that love comes in many different forms that sows the seeds of love that lead to our families. The laws regulating parentage do not reflect our diversity or the needs of our families. We have an opportunity right now to fix this through legislation by lifting up all of our families, no matter who they are. This legislation gives all families legal protections that guarantee that children are not separated from their parents. We are the only state in New England that needs to do this still. Together, through grassroots organizing and hard work, we can get this done. Please know that the other members of the LGBTQ+ caucus are hard at work fighting for you on this issue as well. And I'm personally working with the chair of the Judiciary Committee as a member of that committee to get this out. So keep fighting, and thanks for all you do, and happy Pride.
Thank you so much, Rep. Scanlon. Yes, we are so grateful to all our co-sponsors and to our lead Senate sponsor, Senator Bruce Carr. This bill is bipartisan, which does not happen hardly at all in Washington and not enough here, but we have bipartisanship on this bill because we all have families, of course. So next up, you're going to hear from some more amazing and inspirational speakers, including children, parents, and our fellow advocates who will share their stories about why we need to pass the Mass Parentage Act this session. To start, I want you to join me in welcoming and cheering for an amazing parent, small business owner, and powerful voice for the Mass Parentage Act. Now, my friend, Jay Shia.
I'll start by saying
Closer.
Happy Pride and LGBTQ Family Day to everyone. My name is Jay Shia. I'm a small business owner here in Boston, the parent of a 12-year-old boy. I'm here in support of the Mass Parentage Act, which grants parental rights to parents like myself and to probably many of you out here in the crowd. It still blows my mind that this is even still a debate. I'll tell the brief story, which hopefully will help our legislators understand why this is so important. When I was 19 years old, my girlfriend at the time became pregnant. A baby was definitely not in the plans, but it was in the works. I told her I'd be happy to help her raise the kid. When our son was born, I was there with the bio mom. I named him and was the second set of arms in this world to hold him after his birth. The next few weeks definitely went a little different than planned. I thought my partner and myself would be co-parenting, but then quickly realized that she wasn't really in a position to do so. So I started that September college with baby in tow. Eventually my girlfriend and I broke up, and although we broke up, we remained friends. The baby wound up being with me full time. We went through 4 years of college essentially as a single parent to a non-biological kid. Yes, I had help from my family and friends, but none from the state whatsoever. To survive, I wound up doing tire and oil changes in my family's yard to pay my bills and raise this newborn, or this young child that I had. Fast forward, when my son, Ade, was 4 years old, social services became aware that he wasn't living with his bio mom, who was claiming him as a dependent. The state required him to live with her, and she would wind up having to forfeit for benefits. I had no choice but to let him go, and I'm sure for a lot of parents here, you can only imagine how hard it is to let go of kids that you raise. Within a few weeks, a very unfortunate incident propelled both Ade and his younger brother into foster care. I assumed that I'd be able to easily contact UCF and become an acknowledged foster parent to a kid who I'd been raising since day one. That wasn't the case at all. I had zero parental rights because we had no biological or legal connection. I had a stack of papers from doctors and daycare providers stating that I was his primary parent, stating that I could offer him a safe place to go, but it didn't matter. I didn't stay in foster care for almost a year in which I called UCF every single day, and ultimately got nowhere. After a year, social services sent him back to his bio mother's house, which had grown even more chaotic. After one of the worst years of my life, and of Ade's life, I got a lawyer, Joyce Kaufman, who I believe was hoping to be here in the crowd, or maybe she's here, hi Joyce, who fought for me day in and day out to prove that I was in fact, de facto, like some of the parents here, in fact a parent. After months and months in court, I was finally granted guardianship. That's great, yes, but I soon realized the way that the law goes, my guardianship was no more than me being a glorified babysitter. Every day, even now, I carry a notarized copy of my son's guardianship form in my wallet. I need this presented to the schools, to every doctor's appointment, every dentist appointment, because I'm constantly being questioned. I even need to notify the courts every single time I travel with him, out of state or out of the country. For someone who has been a primary parent for a child since the day they were born, this whole situation is wildly great. I am his parent, not just a guardian, and I'm sure many of you people here can relate to that. Hopefully some change will finally be made for the sake of parents like myself, like many of you out in the crowd, but most importantly, for the kids. We aren't here as a threat, we're just asking to be seen legally as parents, for the parents that we are. I hope the MPA passes. If not, you'll see me up here again, hopefully not in the rain. And until then, let's keep working to pass the MPA, and thank you all for being out here in the rain.
I'm giving up on paper, I'm going digital here. Just too darn wet. Okay, anyway, thank you so much, Jay, for sharing your story and for fighting so incredibly hard, not only for your own child, but for the protection of all children and families in the Commonwealth. I think that LGBTQ families are used to the fight, honestly. We're used to doing whatever it takes to protect our children. When my first child was born, my partner and I were actually not allowed to sign her birth certificate in the hospital. We had to come back 4 days later, once the Commonwealth had verified with the Registry of Vital Records that we were married. We had to come back in the dead of winter, like December 28th, to sign her birth certificate in the bottom of Beth Israel's parking lot. Because they didn't trust us that we were married. We didn't get automatic entry into signing a birth certificate. We had to come back. When she was 6 weeks old, still in the dead of the New England winter, we adopted her in the probate and family court. Luckily, I was an adoption lawyer, so it was easy for me to do, but it's really not easy for people who don't have access to lawyers, access to funds, who don't want to go to court and get that judicial stamp of approval. The same was true when our twins were born 5 years later. We went to the probate and family court when they were 6 weeks old, had to get that judge's stamp of approval to say that we were actually a secure family. Other families didn't have to do that. They were secure from day one. When one of our kids died, I had to go to Newton City Hall and beg to be listed as an equal legal parent on his death certificate because Massachusetts didn't recognize that on their form. That wasn't successful. When LGBTQ families are trying to learn how to take care of their infants or dealing with a tremendous loss, they shouldn't have to do extra paperwork. They shouldn't have to go to a judge to get their stamp of approval. They shouldn't have to do anything. They should be protected the same as every other family. And that's what this bill is really about. From day one, in the hospital, our families were protected like everybody else. because we deserve that protection and we should be celebrated and included like everybody else. And on that note of celebration, I'm going to switch gears to our next speaker, Darmani Jimenez, who is a phenomenal youth activist. He's a child of a de facto parent. I am so thrilled he's here with us today to share a little bit about his story. All right, Darmani.
Oh my God, thank you. Hi, my name is Armani. I know it may not look or sound like it, but I am 16.
Closer to the mic.
I'm a sophomore at Boston Prep in Hyde Park. And I've been a lifelong resident of Boston. Started in Charlestown, moved to Mission Hill, and I'm probably one of the biggest Boston sports fans you'll know. Celtics in 6 for sure. I'm particularly excited to be here with you guys today because I've always loved politics and community service. It's been a big part of not only my life but just my family's life in general. My mom, Kylie, who's my de facto mother, been in my life since birth. I'll always think of her, no matter what Massachusetts state law says, as my mom. And she's, all in honesty, she's my rock. She's been there for me in my worst times and my best times. And I just couldn't be more grateful to have her here for me. Unfortunately, she isn't here today. I'm also here with my grandmother and little brother, who's waving. And so legally, Kylie, she's under Massachusetts state law, is a de facto parent. And because she's a de facto parent in Massachusetts, she only has limited rights. And the part that sucks is that in all the other New England states, she would be recognized as a legal mother. But Massachusetts, which claims it's progressive, all that, she's not considered a mother. And that sucks because we shouldn't have to move to another state to be recognized as a family when Massachusetts has been our home since we were born. It's not fair, and it's stressful for all of us. We don't want to be hidden in the shadows. And yeah, I think it's long overdue that this bill gets passed. Thank you, and like I said, Celtics in 6.
Thank you so much. I've known Darmani since he was born as well, and so I'm like now emotional, and I somehow have to talk. Hi, Jordan. I think Paula, you're talking next. No, it's Jordan. Oh, okay. I wasn't even supposed to jump up here. Okay. I'll blame the emotion. Hi, Jordan. Go on.
Hi Boston, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining us in the rain. And also thank you to Evie for this amazing child's couch that has kept me mostly dry. I'm so appreciative. And thank you so much, Darmani, for coming up here and so eloquently talking about how important the Celtics are, but also our families on LGBTQ Families Day. I'm Jordan Budd. I'm the Executive Director of Collage. I'm so excited to be here with all of you today to call for equality for LGBTQ families. All over the country, our families are under attack. But in Massachusetts, we have the opportunity to make the lives of people with LGBTQ parents more secure. Collage is the only national organization for people with one or more LGBTQ parents. We've co-hosted Family Week in Provincetown, the largest gathering of LGBTQ families in the world. Every single year, we have deep roots here in the Bay State. We're asking the Massachusetts legislature to recognize thousands of us who don't have legal protections under the law. Collagers know the beauty and diversity of our families, and they know how important it is to make sure that all of our families have equal protection. Many of us grew up in families that didn't have this legal security, where their parents weren't fully recognized, and that is unacceptable in 2022. They know the fear and the hurt that can come from potentially losing a parent. I'm thinking of people like my friend Jesse, who told me he used to avoid playing on the playground because he was afraid of going to the hospital when one of his moms was at work because he knew what that meant if the non-gestational mom was in a position of making medical decisions for him. While Massachusetts has been a leader in recognizing the rights and relationships of LGBTQ people, we've fallen behind. There are gaps in our laws that leave some of our families out and some of our children unprotected. The national climate is scary enough. In many places across the country, they don't even want us to be mentioned. They want everyone to pretend like we don't exist. But we're here. We deserve the same rights and protections as everyone else. It's well past time for Massachusetts to catch up to the rest of the states in New England and fully protect LGBTQ families. That's why I'm so proud to be here with collagers, with LGBTQ families, to celebrate LGBTQ Families Day and demand equal rights. Please pass the Massachusetts Protection Act, Parentage Act, this session. Thank you very much.
Okay, so short change of plans due to traffic. Ray Santana is not here with us today, but she is here in spirit. She was the first LGBTQ family to sign a VAD in the hospital 4 years ago, and I helped her and her partner do that. Because in Massachusetts, we do not have broad access to voluntary acknowledgement of parentage. And what that means is that you can't, in the hospital, as I said before, sign a form like non-LGBTQ couples can and establish your parentage at birth. So she was going to talk about how we need to extend access to that, make sure we're protecting marital families, make sure we're protecting families born through assisted reproduction, so that at day one you can have that protection. We are so grateful for her and all of her advocacy, and so I'm going to call up Emily McGranahan from Family Equality.
Everybody, I'm really excited to be here. My name is Emily McGranahan. I work with Family Equality. We're a national organization that exists to create a world where everyone can experience the love, safety, and belonging of family. And we do that work to ensure that everyone can find, can form, and then can also sustain their families by advancing equality for the LGBTQ+ community. So I was born and raised in Massachusetts, and I have chosen to grow and continue growing my own family here in Massachusetts. And I have lesbian moms, and I was conceived thanks to donor sperm and assisted reproductive technology. So when I was growing up, my parents couldn't get married. That wasn't an option. And though I had two parents who were partnered and fully intended to parent together, it was only my bio mom who was on my birth certificate. And my non-bio mom had no legal ties to either myself or my bio mom. And that lack of legal recognition did not make them any less of a parent or us any less of a family. But we didn't have those legal protections until we decided to do a second parent adoption when I was 11. At the time, that actually felt really scary and really vulnerable to be a child in an LGBTQ+ family facing a judge, when I was genuinely worried that they could reject us and take action to harm our family. Thankfully, the judge was thrilled to be supporting us and to be legally recognizing our family, to our immense relief. But no one should have to worry like that. And I knew who my parents were and what they meant to me. So this was years ago, but we clearly still have a lot of work to do. LGBTQ+ families throughout Massachusetts still have to go to court like my family did to adopt their own kids, and they have to experience that fear and that stress. People with LGBTQ+ parents are still excluded from legal protections in many ways. And this is a really big problem because 63% of LGBTQ+ millennials plan to grow their families in the coming years. That's really, that number, millions of people, and that's statistically pretty close to non-LGBTQ+ millennials. That's a huge increase in the number of queer families that are existing now and will continue to grow in the coming years. So we need parentage protections now more than ever, and the MPA means recognizing families from the start. So there's a new generation of people with LGBTQ+ parents who should not have to feel vulnerable and unprotected and unrecognized like I did. This time that Massachusetts passed the Massachusetts Parenting Law and that we updated the organizations like Family Equality, like GLAD and Collage, and the other coalition members and Resolve are really working to make this happen. And I'm really proud to be here today with you in the maybe clearing up rain to really urge the legislature to pass the Massachusetts Parentage Act. So thank you all for.
Well, now I am so excited to introduce yet another young person who is interested in politics and advocacy. Yes, keep being interested in it. Don't lose faith. So it is my great pleasure to introduce Owen Nichols Worley from Southborough, who did an amazing job, as did Darmani, testifying at the legislative hearing for the Mass Parentage Act. So here's Owen.
Hello, Boston, and thank you for being here. My name is Owen James Nichols Worley. I'm 17 years old, and not even rain can stop us from passing the Massachusetts Parentage Act. I'm 17, as I said. I'm a junior in high school. I am proud to say that when I was born in 2004, I was the first child in Massachusetts to have both of my fathers listed on my birth certificate, pursuant to a free birth parentage petition. What is troubling is that 17 years later, the same laws that made my case historic have not been updated. Massachusetts is the only state in New England which has not updated its parentage laws. The relationship between a parent and their children is the most important one, and we need to do everything in our ability to protect it. Ours was the first state where my parents could be married. And yet, we do not have the proper laws protecting children and their LGBTQ+ parents. The Massachusetts Parentage Act is critical. We lack clear standards protecting all involved in the surrogacy process. We have no law protecting my parentage from being challenged. We need to clear up the standards. We need to protect our LGBTQ+ families. And we need to pass the Massachusetts Parentage Act. Thank you.
I told you, you were so awesome that they stopped honking for a little while. I think they were listening. That was so awesome. Well, thank you all so much. This concludes our program, but we hope you'll stay. I think the rain is stopping, which is just so typical if it stops. Like, our program's over, but it's all good. As we say, this is dampening us, but not our spirit. And we just thank you so, so much. Everyone who's here, everyone who spoke, everyone who's supporting this. I hope you feel the energy. If you can stay, if you don't have to quickly go back home, we'll lead people into the State House if you want, and you can drop off one of those postcards to your own legislators. We also have those coloring sheets. I'll show you mine, if I can find it. Because we're going to think a child did it, but it was actually me. So this is what it looks like. We want you to draw and color your family. That is supposed to be a dog, so I wrote wolf because you wouldn't know that it's a dog. And what we really want you to do is put your name and address on the back, and then we'll bring it to your legislators' offices for you if you can. So those are under there, protected under a blanket and staying dry. So definitely grab one before you leave, no matter what. So thank you all. Happy LGBTQ Families Day, and let's get the Mass Parentage Act passed in the next 2 months before this session ends. Thank you.